After my mom remarried, I ended up with a totally unpredictable stepsister. At school, she told me to stay away from her. When classmates bullied me, she just watched coldly. I always thought she absolutely hated my guts. Until the day I got a girlfriend. She pushed open my bedroom door in the middle of the night. With a half smile, she asked, "Brother, are you dating someone?" The next second, she grabbed my neck hard. Gritting her teeth, she hissed, "Fang Yuan, isn't messing with me enough for you?" After my parents divorced, my mom took me and married this guy. He had a daughter named Bai Nangbing, a year younger than me. My mom said she had great grades and was super well behaved. The day we moved into their house, she politely called me brother and smiled as she helped us unpack. My mom smiled along with her. It was a picture-perfect family, a super warm and harmonious scene. But as soon as our parents left the house, everything changed. When I curiously went to touch the trophies in the glass cabinet, Bai Ningbing shoved me away. "Don't touch my stuff." She had a cold look on her face, like a completely different person. From that moment on, I clearly realized she didn't like me. Or rather, she despised me. I transferred to Bai Ningbing's school and ended up in the exact same class. She smiled and promised our parents she'd take good care of me. But the second we walked through the school gates, she acted like she didn't know me, keeping her distance the whole time. She was the popular girl at school. Tons of guys had a crush on her. To them, she was pretty, smart, outgoing, and gentle. But I was the only one who knew what kind of person she really was. One day after school, I forgot my keys. Bai Ningbing had a club activity, so I went to the club room to find her. I stumbled upon an underclassman confessing his feelings to her. Amidst the crowd cheering them on, she smiled and politely rejected him, not forgetting to gently hand back his love letter. Then, she saw me. With that same smile still on her face, she slowly walked toward me. I instinctively took a step back. In a corner where no one else could see, she finally took off her mask. Her tone was ice cold. "What?" "I forgot my keys." She pulled them out of her pocket. I reached out, but before I could grab them, she let go. Clack! The keys hit the floor. She didn't even blink, just turned around and walked back to the classroom. As I bent down, I heard someone ask her, "Was that another guy trying to confess to you? Did you say yes?" She laughed. "I'm way out of his league." That night, Bai Ningbing knocked on my door in the middle of the night for the first time. The girl stood outside, her beautiful face looking as cold as frost in the moonlight. Her voice was even colder. "Stay away from me from now on." My mom was really happy after remarrying, so when Uncle Bai asked me if Bai Ningbing was bullying me, I smiled and shook my head. At that moment, I saw a flash of surprise in Bai Ningbing's eyes. I held it in. As long as my mom was happy, I didn't care what happened to me. But ever since they mistakenly thought I confessed to Bai Ningbing, things got harder and harder for me at school. I never expected guys to have so much malice toward a rival. Random stuff started appearing in my desk. Rumors that I was a thief spread like wildfire. Through it all, Bai Ningbing just watched coldly from the sidelines. I even suspected she was the one pulling the strings. But I still put up with it. Until one day, my textbook was covered in the words, "shameless." After school, I was erasing the marks page by page. Suddenly, Bai Ningbing was standing right next to me, in the empty classroom, bathed in the last rays of the sunset. "Pretty fitting for you," she said with a mocking tone. "Just like your mom." Slap! A sharp sound broke the evening silence. A red mark quickly appeared on the girl's cheek. I stood there with my hand still raised, glaring fiercely at Bai Ningbing. "I put up with you because of my mom. Bai Ningbing. Don't push it." The shock in her eyes faded quickly. as if she had just encountered something really amusing. Her lips curled into a sinister little smirk. She slowly stepped toward me. My instinct was to back away, but I didn't move. She stopped right by my ear, pausing on every word like a demon whispering, "You're dead." I quickly figured out what she meant by that. At school, totally out of character, she started hanging around me all the time, walking into the classroom with me, waiting outside for me after school. I couldn't shake her, and what followed was even fiercer retaliation. Textbooks glued shut, chairs covered in ink. When the bell rang, I was the only one standing there like an idiot. Nobody offered to help. Bai Ningbing walked right past me. Smiling, she gently asked, "Are you happy now?" I glared at her, fuming. They all thought I was just going to keep taking it. Until I grabbed that guy, the exact same underclassman who confessed to her that day. A kid from another class was coming into my room to mess with me, and nobody even tried to stop him. He was holding a marker, looking down and scribbling all over my desk. I grabbed him by the collar and dragged him out. Screams filled the air. He struggled desperately, but I held on even tighter. I pinned him against the railing on the fifth-floor corridor. Half his body was dangling over the edge. The cold wind howled. His face was covered in tears. "I'm sorry. I'll never do it again. I was wrong. Please, let me go. I'm scared of heights." His screaming drew the whole floor out to watch the show. I never let go. Finally, the dean and a few teachers dragged me away. The first thing I saw was Bai Ningbing in the crowd. She was frowning, showing an emotion I couldn't read. As I brushed past her, I looked down and laughed, full of contempt. After that, I got labeled a total psycho. Nobody dared to mess with me anymore, and Bai Ningbing's attitude toward me had a subtle shift. After math class, the teacher assigned group discussions. Because of the psycho incident, nobody wanted to team up with me. Everyone clustered in groups of 3 or 5, leaving me reading alone with my head down. "Wanna be in my group?" A gentle voice rang out. I looked up and saw the class president, Shang Jinqi. I didn't know why she even noticed me, but I nodded anyway. After school, Shang Jinqi casually asked, "Wanna walk home together?" I didn't say no. Sure. But right as we reached the school gates, someone called my name. It was actually Bai Ningbing. I frowned as I watched her slowly walk over. She stopped right in front of me and smiled with this fake familiarity. "Aren't you waiting for me?" Shang Jinqi looked at us, totally surprised. Bai Ningbing acted like she just noticed her way. "We live together. We're neighbors." I cut her off. "Are we?" Shang Jinqi scratched her head. "Oh, then you guys go ahead. I'll see you later." After she left, Bai Ningbing suddenly scoffed. "Neighbors?" I ignored her, turned around and left. After that, Bai Ningbing started acting even weirder. Whenever Shang Jinqi talked to me at school, Bai Ningbing was guaranteed to show up within minutes. This constant shadow-following vibe felt even more sickening than the bullying. To shake her off, I tried getting closer to Shang Jinqi, and in the process, we gradually became friends. She was kind and gentle, always putting others first, something that dark-hearted demon, Bai Ningbing, could never even hope to be. Sunday was Shang Jinqi's birthday. She invited me to her party. My parents and Bai Ningbing both happened to be out. I spent some time dressing up, and was just about to head out. When the front door opened, Bai Ningbing was back, under the cold white lights of the living room. She looked at me. "Where are you going?" I kept a straight face. "None of your business." As I walked past her, Bai Ningbing suddenly grabbed my wrist. "Let go." I frowned. I asked where you're going. "None of your business." She shoved me against the wall. My back hit the light switch. Click. The lights went out. The living room was pitch black. In the dark, I raised my other hand. But she caught that one too. Going to hit me, she chuckled, lowering her voice. Her warm breath hitting my ear. Her fingers slowly traced my face. Brother, if you dare lay a hand on me, I will definitely make you pay. Even though I couldn't see, I could picture the smug satisfaction on her face. Is that right? I smiled. Then I lowered my head and bit down hard on her wandering hand. Bai Ningbing gasped in pain. She shoved me away forcefully. I tasted blood. When the lights came back on Nhi, the tips of her ears were bright red. A flash of embarrassment crossed her eyes, but she quickly hid it. She wiped the blood from her palm onto her lips, curling her crimson lips into a sneer. Why didn't you bite here? I ignored her and walked out the door. This time, Bai Ningbing didn't stop me, but she kept following right behind me. The early winter streets were bleak and freezing, under the dim yellow streetlights. She stuck to me like my shadow. Not too far, not too close. But I couldn't shake her. Turning a corner, I just bolted. The cold wind whipped past my ears. This time, she didn't chase after me. The party was at a karaoke place. Standing outside the private room, I took off my heavy coat, revealing a light-colored dress shirt. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open. Shang Jinqi probably hadn't told anyone I was coming. The moment I appeared, everyone went dead silent. Even the guy singing stopped with the mic in his hand, just staring. In the dimly lit room, only the backing track played awkwardly in the background. Shang Jinqi was the first to break the tension. Fang Yuan. She walked over to me, smiling, her eyes sparkling. I didn't think you'd actually come. I nodded. Don't just stand there. She pulled me down to sit, then looked over at the guy who had been singing. All right, keep singing. Once the singing started up again, the room went back to being noisy. There were empty bottles all over the table. They must have already been drinking a bit before I got there. The smell of alcohol in the air, mixed with the fresh scent coming off her, created this weirdly intoxicating mix. Her cheeks were a little flushed. Happy birthday, I said, quietly. Thanks, she smiled, her eyes turning into crescents. I pulled a small box out of my pocket. A gift. She looked a bit surprised. Can I open it? I nodded. It was a little Maneki Neko figurine with squinty, smiling eyes. The first time I saw it, I thought it looked exactly like her. Thank you. I love it. Occasionally, people cast curious glances our way, but Shang Jinqi blocked them all out. Since transferring to this school, this was the first time I actually felt like I fit in with the crowd. Almost like I hadn't been isolated and bullied this whole time. After 2 songs, a few guys walked over, laughing. Class, press. More people just got here. Let's go grab them. Shang Jinqi nodded and agreed. Suddenly, I got this really bad feeling. When Bai Ningbing's face appeared in the doorway, my breathing practically stopped. She had a band-aid on her hand. The second she walked in, a bunch of guys swarmed her, all smiles. She said something gently. That got them all laughing. Then, she slowly walked over and stopped right in front of me. Is this seat taken? She pointed to the empty spot next to me. Nope, someone answered for me. Bai Ningbing sat down, acting completely natural. I stiffened my back, trying my hardest to scoot away from her in the cramped space. Shang Jinqi didn't pick up on the weird tension between us. Instead, she innocently asked, "Oh yeah, you guys are neighbors. Why didn't you come together?" I kept my expression cold. We're not close. Suddenly, my hand resting at my side was grabbed hard. It was a vice grip, and it hurt. Oh, I see. Shang Jinqi looked almost relieved. I thought you guys were like childhood sweethearts or something. We aren't, I said, deadpan. The hand squeezed even tighter. Someone called out for Shang Jinqi as she got up to go say, "Hi." Bai Ningbing leaned in. "Brother, The lighting was dim, the music was loud, and nobody seemed to notice our corner. She looked at me, her eyes flashing with that malice she was so good at hiding it. "You look really good today." It was supposed to be a compliment, but she said it completely devoid of warmth. Let go. I was struggling to hold back my anger. She acted like nothing was wrong, squeezing even harder. Bai Ningbing, a good-looking guy, walked over. It was Qin Baisheng, the class heartthrob. She let go of my hand, smoothing it over effortlessly. Qin Baisheng flashed a bright smile. "Have a drink with me, yeah?" She narrowed her eyes. "Sure." Egged on by the crowd, the two of them downed several drinks in a row. "What happened to your hand?" Qin Baisheng asked. "Got bit. Should I get a rabies shot?" "No need for that." Her gaze lightly brushed over me. "He hasn't gone completely rabid yet." The strong smell of alcohol mixed with the choking smoke. I felt totally nauseous. I got up and left the room. It wasn't until the cold wind hit my face that I finally snapped out of it. I didn't have my coat on, but I really didn't want to go back in. I stood by the street downstairs for a few minutes. I heard footsteps behind me. Shang Jinqi jogged over. "Fang Yuan, it's freezing out here. You forgot your coat." She held out my jacket, hesitated for a second, then blushed, stood on her tiptoes, and draped it over my shoulders. I caught a faint, pleasant scent of fresh grass. After helping me with the coat, she didn't leave right away. She just stood there, pausing for a moment. "Fang Yuan." She took a deep breath. "Actually, from your first day here, I noticed you. Back then." "Class, press." A cold voice interrupted her. Bai Ningbing had somehow come downstairs too. She stood, silhouetted in the doorway, making it impossible to see her expression. "Someone's looking for you." Caught off guard by the sudden interruption, Shang Jinqi looked incredibly embarrassed. "Oh, okay." She almost tripped as she turned to leave. After she was gone, Bai Ningbing stayed right where she was. I didn't want to talk to her, so I started walking away too. But as I walked past, she reached out and blocked my path. "What?" My voice was icy. She looked at me with this really weird expression. Then she blurted out, "She likes you." It wasn't a question, it was a statement. My heart gave a hard thump. Then she asked, "Do you like her too?" "None of your business." Just as I pushed the door open to leave, Bai Ningbing stopped me again. "Brother." Whenever she used that title, toxic as a snake, it definitely meant trouble. Sure enough, her next sentence was, with a little smile, "Do you think I'll tell your mom?" She always knew exactly how to piss me off. Right before this, my mom had just been lecturing us at dinner about the dangers of dating too young. "You think I care?" She looked at me, a mysterious smile in her eyes. She waved her hand with the band-aid, and suddenly changed the subject. "You bit this." Her tone was so weird, almost like she was flirting. "You have to take responsibility." I bumped past her. "Psycho." As I turned to leave, I heard her laugh, softly behind me. When we got home that night, our parents were already back. Bai Ningbing put her mask on, playing out the happy family act. In a corner, where they couldn't see, she whispered to me, "What's so great about her?" I froze for a second, realizing she was asking about Shang Jinqi. I scoffed and retorted out of spite, 10,000 times better than you." Under the cold, white lights, she narrowed her eyes. Her lips curled into a smirk, filled with an emotion I couldn't understand. "Is that so?" Her eyes seemed to see right through me. "But brother, we're the same kind of people, aren't we?" I always thought I was good at hiding it. Not even my mom knew. How could anyone else tell? But, with just one sentence, Bai Ningbing dragged me back to a past I didn't want to remember. The bullying I experienced here wasn't unfamiliar to me. Except back then, I was the indifferent bystander, even the one fanning the flames. Before I transferred, There was a girl named Hwami Hanmo who liked me. She came from a powerful family, ran her own clique at school, and loved solving everything with violence. Back then, there was a girl in my class who was always isolating me. I told she Hanmo. From then on, that girl never had a single peaceful day again. At first, I felt a sick thrill of revenge, but when her face was covered in bruises, and she asked me, eyes red, if she had to die for me to finally let her go, I suddenly woke up. But before I could stop, she Hanmo, that girl transferred schools. After coming here, every time I got bullied, instead of anger, I mostly just felt regret. I figured this was karma. If I just took it, maybe God would finally let me off the hook. As long as I didn't say anything, no one would know about my past. But Bai Ningbing knew. Somehow, she sniffed out that we were cut from the same cloth. That early winter night, when she looked down at me and smiled, saying we were the same kind of people, I didn't deny it. I figured my nightmare was probably about to start all over again. But Bai Ningbing didn't do anything. Just like before, we went to and from school together, acting like we actually got along great. Because we were always together, rumors started flying around school that we were a couple. I didn't want anything to do with her. So every day after school, I'd use group discussions as an excuse to stay at school longer with Shang Jinch. My mom noticed something was up. Why have you been coming home so late recently? I told the truth, discussing problems with a classmate. She stopped what she was doing. A boy or a girl? I hesitated. A boy. She clearly didn't buy it. If you have questions, why don't you just come home and ask Bai Ningbing? Your Uncle Bai said, she's ranked first in the grade every time. I just mumbled, yay, and went back to my room. As soon as I turned the corner into the hallway, I found Bai Ningbing standing behind the wall. She had obviously overheard everything. Brother, Auntie is right. You can ask me whatever you need. She looked at me, full of mischief. I walked straight back to my room. But sometimes, the thing you dread the most happens. When the monthly test results came out, my grades had tanked. My mom held my report card. Look at Ningbing, first in the graded again. With such a great tutor right here, why don't you learn from her? I might want to, but she might not want to teach me. Bai Ningbing popped out of nowhere. Why wouldn't I want to, brother? To ease my mom's mind, I had to pretend to let Bai Ningbing tutor me. Once the study room door closed, I said, coldly, I need to study. Don't bother me. She looked completely innocent. Aren't I here to tutor you? I eyed her defensively. Stop looking at me like that. She turned a page. If you bomb the next test, Auntie will be sad, won't she? She always knew exactly how to manipulate me. From where I was sitting, I could see her long eyelashes, her cute, slightly turned up nose, and her ears, slightly red from the heating. I suddenly kind of understood why she was so popular. God really gave her a flawless exterior. Even with her rotten personality, it was enough to mask everything and fool the world. Seen enough, Bai Ningbing had looked up at some point and was smiling right at me. She had these really pretty peach blossom eyes. Stark, black and white. When she narrowed them, you could say she'd even look affectionately at a dog. Ever since she saw through me, I didn't bother pretending either. Rotten on the inside. The more I look, the uglier you get. She chuckled dismissively. And who do you think is exactly what they seem? Shang Jinchi. I didn't know why she suddenly brought up Shang Jinchi. Why bring her into this role? Nothing. She wiped the smile off her face and stood up, just thinking. She probably can't teach you like this. Shang Jinchi might be class president, but her grades have always been pretty average. She was clearly just trying to tear her down. So what if you have good grades? They don't matter. But good grades get me time alone with you. The heater really was working well. I suddenly felt really hot, and she suddenly got super close, stopping when our noses were barely inches apart. She narrowed her eyes and smiled. It's okay if I'm ugly, as long as you look good, even knowing how twisted she was. Hearing that still made my heart skip a beat. Stay away from me. As soon as I said it, I froze. Not too long ago, she was the one saying that to me, after a few tutoring sessions. Even as much as I hated Bai Ningbing, I had to admit she was a really good tutor. She always managed to explain the things I didn't get perfectly. One night doing homework in the study, I accidentally fell asleep. When I woke up, a coat was draped over me. Bai Ningbing was sitting next to me. I could hear the occasional sound of pages turning. In the quiet room, I kept my position and slowed my breathing. The coat smelled like her familiar soap, and that faint scent she always had. In that moment, I suddenly felt like maybe I hated her a little less. But only a little. After ditching a few group discussions, Shang Jinchi came looking for me. Fang Yuan, are you super busy lately? You haven't had any time to go over stuff with me. For a second, I didn't know what to say. He's busy going over things with me. Bai Ningbing appeared out of nowhere. Shang Jinchi scratched her head. Oh, right. You guys live close, so that's definitely easier. She completely missed the weird tension. She paused, then asked me, I'm organizing a camping trip up the mountain this Saturday for the class. Just to unwind after exams. You want to come? Honestly, I didn't want to go. Bai Ningbing glanced at me. He's not going, yo. Me? Bai Ningbing paused. Perfect. Meet at the school gates on Saturday. See you then. After Shang Jinchi left, Bai Ningbing looked at me with a half smile. Didn't realize you wanted to go. I wasn't about to back down. There's a lot you don't realize. Is that so? As I turned to leave, I heard her say behind me, then, I'm going too. Just like that, two people who originally had no intention of going, both signed up. I packed thoroughly for the camping trip. I grew up camping, so I knew what I was doing. After meeting at the school gates, we all took a bus to the foot of the mountain. Shang Jinchi's plan was to hike to a clearing at the peak before sunset and set up camp there, with Bai Ningbing joining. The otherwise quiet trip instantly got lively. Qin Baisheng hovered around Bai Ningbing the entire way. I kept my head down and walked in front, listening to the two of them chatting and laughing behind me. Shang Jinchi caught up to me. Fang Yuan, let's set up our tents together later. I casually agreed. Sure. So, should we pitch our tents next to each other? I looked up at her. Face was a little red. Qin Baisheng's voice rang out from behind us. Bai Ningbing, let's be tent neighbors later. An indescribable feeling welled up inside me. Seeing Bai Ningbing stay silent, I had no idea what was going through her head. She didn't say a word, right up until I realized I had lost my amulet. I'll help you look for it. Shang Jinchi volunteered. The amulet was a birthday gift from my mom. I always carried it with me. I shook my head. You have to lead the group. I'll go look for it myself. I'll be back soon. She hesitated. Are you sure you're okay alone? I'll go with him. Under Qin Baisheng's shocked gaze, Bai Ningbing walked toward me. Honestly, I didn't want her help at all. All right then, Shang Jinchi agreed on my behalf. Good thing you two can keep each other company. We'll wait for you at the top. Just like that, I had an extra person with me on my way back down. I guess the amulet might have dropped where we got off the bus. I had heard a sharp clink when stepping off, but I hadn't thought much of it then. Looking back, it must have been my amulet. I walked fast. Bai Ningbing trailed behind me, keeping a distance. That completely killed the keeping each other company vibe. I had camped on this mountain before, so I knew there was a shortcut down. I purposely turned down that trail. Hoping to shake Bai Ningbing off, she still followed me. I sped up, and after a few turns she was completely out of sight. Just as I was secretly gloating, my foot stepped on air, and I tumbled down. I rolled several times before finally coming to a stop. I stood up, covered in dirt, only to find I had fallen into a pit. The opening was deep. There was no way I could climb up alone. When your luck is bad, even drinking water chokes you. I had no choice but to yell for help. Bai Ningbing. No answer. Bai Ningbing? Footsteps sounded from above. The next second, her punchable face appeared at the edge. Calling me? Go find someone to help. She didn't move. Instead, she squatted down at the edge. Beg me. Get lost. Bai Ningbing cleared her throat and stood up. Was she really just going to walk away like that? As the air went dead silent, I suddenly felt a wave of panic. Just as I was wondering if I might actually starve to death, I heard movement above again. Bai Ningbing had come back. Want me to save you? I glared at her. Call me sister. I froze. What kind of sick kink was this? Not gonna say it? She busted out her signature smirk. Guess I'm leaving then. But this time, as she stood up, she either lost her balance or slipped. She tumbled down the exact same path I did and landed right next to me. I couldn't hold back a laugh. That's what you get for showing off. Bai Ningbing's face darkened for a couple of seconds. She looked up at me. Funny? I thought she'd be furious. But instead she looked up, paused, and actually burst out laughing too. Yeah, it is. We each sat in a corner. After a moment of silence, I asked, how are we getting out? Wait for someone. This area was super remote. Obviously, nobody was coming anytime soon. Then we might die here. Bai Ningbing suddenly smiled. Is that so bad? She tilted her head at me. It'd be like a lover's suicide. I knew she was messing with me, but meeting those peach blossom eyes, I still couldn't help but get flustered. Who wants to die with you? Don't worry, I couldn't bear to see you die. I frowned. With that smooth talk. How many innocent guys have you tricked? Not many, she smiled. You're the first. I instinctively avoided her gaze. You climb up to ground level. I'll stay down here. I'll boost you up. I never expected her to volunteer a plan like that. Weighing the options, I did as she said. She didn't have a ton of upper body strength, but that single boost was enough for me to pull myself up. She must have used too much force, because as I scrambled up, Bai Ningbing collapsed onto the ground. She looked up at me. You aren't going to leave me here, right? I frowned. I'm not like you. She suddenly smiled. I'll wait for you. Sometimes, you just have to believe in fate. Like how the weather forecast promised clear skies. But it started pouring rain on my way back to find help. My mind kept flashing back to how Bai Ningbing looked at the end. And her words. You aren't going to leave me here, right? As if I would. Luckily, I ran into my classmates who were heading back. After explaining what happened, everyone came with me to save Bai Ningbing. The rain was coming down harder and harder. Mud and rocks were already sliding across the path. A sick feeling twisted in my gut. When I finally made it back to the spot, I froze. Half the pit had caved in. I rushed over like a hurricane and saw Bai Ningbing lying at the bottom, soaked to the bone, half her body buried under the dirt. Bai Ningbing! I roared. She stirred slightly. She opened her eyes. Even through the heavy rain, I could still read her lips. It hurts, she mouthed. Ever since I met her, she had always acted high and mighty. When had she ever looked this miserable? Thanks to the cave-in, the pit now had a slope. I jumped down to save her. Only then did I notice her head was covered in blood, dripping down her jaw, along with the rain. I didn't leave you here, but I was too late. I'm sorry. When the ambulance arrived, I hopped in without a second thought. The paramedics looked at me in surprise. I'm her brother. After checking her over, they found Bai Ningbing's worst injury was to the top of her head. She must have been hit by falling rocks during the cave-in, knocking her unconscious. That night, while our parents went out to buy food, I sat by her hospital bed, staring blankly at her sleeping face. Because of the stitches, a patch of her hair had been shaved off, wrapped in gauze. Right now, she looked pathetic, but kind of funny. But I couldn't bring myself to laugh. I gently touched her fingertips, resting at her side. They were freezing cold. "I'm sorry," I whispered, in the quiet room. The only response I got was the steady beeping of the heart monitor. To keep her under observation, Bai Ningbing stayed in the hospital for a few more days. Every day after school, I rushed straight to the hospital. After getting hit on the head, Bai Ningbing became a lot more docile. When I showed up, she didn't say anything, acting like she didn't even see me. I didn't expect her to say anything to me anyway. I figured I was just watching her for Uncle Bai for a bit. I sat quietly in the hospital room doing my homework. When I rushed over on the third day, there was a strange woman in the room, standing at the door. I heard her talking to Bai Ningbing in a gentle voice. But, the next second, Bai Ningbing ripped out her IV drip and grabbed the glass from the table, smashing it violently onto the floor. I quickly pushed the door open and rushed in. Uncle Bai rushed in right behind me. He grabbed the woman and shoved her outside. But the woman started screaming, totally different from her gentle demeanor just a second ago. That's when I finally got a clear look at her face. It was a face twisted with madness, yet bore a striking resemblance to Bai Ningbing. After Uncle Bai dragged that woman away, I finally noticed the blood on Bai Ningbing's hand, snaking all the way down to her fingertips. I pulled her back to the bed. "Lie down, okay?" She lay down as told. I called the nurse in to treat the wound and hook up a new IV. Through the whole process, she was totally silent, no resistance at all. Surprisingly obedient. "Does anywhere else hurt?" I asked. She stared at the ceiling and didn't answer. There were still glass shards on the floor. I turned around to go clean them up, when I heard her suddenly speak. She asked me, "Does this cut hurt more than when I bit you?" My heart skipped a beat. I looked back at her. On the spot where her hair was shaved, you could clearly see a thin, long old scar. "Did she do that to you on purpose?" My voice trembled a bit. Bai Ningbing lowered her eyes. She got drunk and smashed a bottle over my head. I didn't know what to say, or rather, I didn't know how to comfort a kid who grew up being abused by her own mother. It had started raining outside at some point. The weather had been weirdly unpredictable lately. I stood up, intending to go find Uncle Bai. She suddenly grabbed my hand. I froze. "Don't go." It was the first time I'd seen this kind of expression on Bai Ningbing's face. Her eyes were red, fragile, like a child. I stopped in my tracks. Somewhere, soft in the bottom of my heart, a strange new feeling sprouted. I held her hand back and said softly, "I won't go." The tension in her grip instantly vanished. She turned half her face away, facing inwards. The rain pattered against the window, making the room feel even quieter. "Fang Yuan," she whispered, "I'm sorry." Bai Ningbing seemed different after she got discharged. When our parents weren't looking, her attitude toward me actually seemed softer. She stopped calling me brother in that passive-aggressive tone, and started calling me Fang Yuan, like a normal kid our age. I wasn't really used to it. At first, I thought her conscience had finally kicked in, but I quickly realized that wasn't it. She had this sick, abnormal possessiveness over me. She was glued to my side 24/7, completely isolating me from any other girls. If my gaze even slightly drifted away, she would definitely find a way to grab my attention. making sure I only had eyes for her. It wasn't normal. I started getting seriously anxious. This anxiety peaked when Bai Ningbing won the Outstanding Student Award, and right after stepping off the podium, walked straight up and shoved the certificate into my arms. Under the questioning gazes of our classmates, I clearly felt her marking her territory in an almost blatantly childish way. Last time when I hopped into the ambulance, Shang Xinqi explained to everyone that we were neighbors, so nobody knew our real relationship. Unease was slowly taking over my mind. I felt like I had to do something. I went to Shang Xinqi. Could you do me a favor? She looked at me, confused. Could you pretend to be my girlfriend? Shang Xinqi's face instantly turned bright red, but under my desperate gaze, she agreed without asking too many questions. Thanks to me, purposely making it obvious, the rumors about me and Bai Ningbing disappeared. What replaced them was gossip about my relationship with Shang Xinqi. How did those two get together? Didn't you know Shang Xinqi always liked Fang Yuan? Wait, didn't Bai Ningbing like him too? That was probably just a rumor. In the classroom, a group of girls whispered about it while looking my way. During this time, I actively avoided Bai Ningbing. I did everything with Shang Xinqi, and totally out of character, Bai Ningbing stopped following me around constantly. Instead, she started arriving at school right at the belly. Sometimes she was even late. Because her grades were so good, the teachers just turned a blind eye. But today, she walked right into the dean's line of fire. Do you know how long class has been going on? You get first in the grade and get this arrogant. The dean blocked her at the classroom door. Think you're untouchable. Think you'll get first place again next time. Normally, Bai Ningbing would definitely smile and sweet-talk her way out of it, giving the dean plenty of face. But lately, she had this hostile aura around her, or maybe she just couldn't be bothered to wear her mask anymore. She remained totally expressionless. The dean choked on his words for a second, then proceeded to chew her out ruthlessly. He angrily dropped a talented but morally bankrupt and punished her to stand outside until class ended. Only then did he let it go. When Bai Ningbing finally walked in, she brought a cold draft with her. I couldn't help but look back at her, as if sensing something. She looked up at the exact same time. That icy glare. It was exactly like the first time we met. When she told me not to touch her stuff, I quickly looked away. I was on edge the entire day, starting to doubt if what I was doing was right. But eventually, I reaffirmed my choice. Even if Bai Ningbing ratted me out to my mom, worst case scenario, I'd just get a scolding. But if the relationship between me and Bai Ningbing started crossing line, it would be an irreversible disaster. I couldn't let that happen. As for my relationship with Shang Xinqi, Bai Ningbing didn't actually tell my mom. Everything went back to how it was before, except for Bai Ningbing, who had gone back to being ice cold. I was incredibly anxious for a few days, then gradually calmed down, reassuring myself that I made the right call. Bai Ningbing keeping her distance from me. Wasn't that exactly what I'd been wishing for? That evening, my mom prepared a huge feast. She told Bai Ningbing to eat more to recover her strength. If this was before, she definitely would have smiled, agreed, and done exactly as told. But this time, she just gave a curt "name," ate a few bites, and left the table. Has Ningbing been in a bad mood lately? My mom asked. Probably just stressed from studying, Uncle Bai replied. Regarding her biological mother showing up at the hospital, Uncle Bai and I had a silent agreement to never bring it up. My mom looked at me. Fang Yuan, seems like you're still not working hard enough. I nodded half-heartedly. Mom is studying for her driver's license right now. So, let's work hard together. That night, I lay in bed, thinking about the change in Bai Ningbing. She must have noticed that things between me and Shang Xinqi were getting serious. I wasn't sure exactly how much she saw, but her cold attitude toward me now was already the result I wanted. That was enough. Just as I was thinking that, I suddenly heard a knock on my door. It sounded incredibly loud in the quiet night. I didn't move. Another knock. Afraid of waking our parents, I quickly got up and opened the door. Sure enough, Bai Ningbing was standing right outside. She looked down at me. In the moonlight, I could see that smiling expression on her face. Distant and unfamiliar. I instinctively took a step back and heard her ask with a smile, "Brother, are you dating someone?" I opened my mouth to reply, but she suddenly stepped forward and slammed me against the wall. "Fang Yuan, isn't messing with me enough for you?" The freezing touch of the wall sent shivers down my spine, but right in front of me was the burning heat of her body. End of chunk. She gritted her teeth, her voice right next to me, under the cold moonlight. Her eyes were bloodshot. I tried to struggle, but I was afraid of making too much noise and waking our parents, so she didn't let go. Instead, she slowly leaned in, her breath getting closer and closer. I had nowhere left to back up. An inexplicable sense of humiliation washed over me like a wave. Right as her nose was about to touch mine, I turned my face away. My voice trembled a bit. "Bai Ningbing, I'm your brother." She froze instantly. After what felt like forever, she let me go and took a step back. Looking defeated, she let out a bitter laugh after a long pause, then turned and left. Back in the quiet room, I slowly slumped to the floor. If I really hated Bai Ningbing, I could have just pushed her away and kept my distance, just like in the beginning. So why did I go to all the trouble of finding Shang Jinxi to pretend to be my girlfriend? Why did I feel the need to emphasize, "I'm your brother," when she got close? In the dark, it felt like only my beating heart was answering me. Thump, thump. After dating Shang Jinxi for 2 weeks, I was the one who initiated the breakup. "It's too unfair to you doing it like this." I apologized sincerely. I was being really selfish. "I'm sorry." Shang Jinxi frantically waved her hands. "You don't need to apologize." She paused, then scratched her head a little shyly. "Actually, I had my own selfish reasons too. It's not like I'd agree to this kind of request from just anybody." She was being completely obvious. All I could do was look down and play dumb. But no one else knew we had broken up. After Qin Baisheng found out Bai Ningbing and I were neighbors, and ruled me out as a rival, because I was taken, he started talking to me all the time. At first, it was just chatting in the classroom. Then, it turned into inviting me to hang out. Hanging out with him, I realized that even though he was good-looking, he was surprisingly naive. He wore his likes and dislikes right on his sleeve. His reason for inviting me out this time was actually because Bo Qing was going to be there. I've always hated that guy's guts. He's so scared of you. You have to come and take him down a notch. This Bo Qing was the underclassman who used to bully me. "I need to go home after school. Just come with me for a bit. It won't take long." Getting along with the guys who liked Bai Ningbing seemed like a good way to prove that we were strictly just siblings. "I'll only stay for 5 minutes. Deal." I had no idea who put this dinner together. A bunch of high schoolers trying to act like adults, drinking and dining. When I walked into the private room, a heavy stench of smoke hit my face. I instinctively frowned. Bo Qing isn't here yet. Chen Baisheng leaned in close to my ear and whispered, "Can you just wait a little longer, please?" I didn't want to stay a second longer, but since I promised, I couldn't just bail early. Besides, just showing my face didn't cost me anything. Seeing the look of terror on my former bully's face was also kind of entertaining. Thinking like that, I stayed a little longer. Not long after, the door was pushed open. I heard Bo Qing's shrill voice. I looked up and froze completely. A sickening chill crept up from the soles of my feet to my entire body. Through the thick, smoke. Standing right next to Bo Ching was the one person I never wanted to see again in my life. Shi Hanmo. Those fragmented memories I desperately tried to shake off slowly pieced themselves together into a complete nightmare. I used to be an accomplice to a bully. It was a past I could never atone for. Amidst the loud chatter, Gao He Hanmo saw me too. Our eyes met. I heard Bo Ching's voice. Let me introduce my older cousin, Shi Hanmo. Shuao Hanmo looked at me, the corners of her lips curling up. Nice to meet you. I never understood before where Bo Ching learned all his bullying tactics. Now that I knew Shi Hanmo was his cousin, it all instantly clicked. It ran in the family. He learned from the best. This time he probably heard that Qin Baisheng was bringing me, so he brought Shi Hanmo, a notorious gang leader in the area, just to give himself some liquid courage. But he probably never guessed that Shi Hanmo and I went way back. When we parted ways back then, things ended really badly. I confronted her about why she resorted to violence for everything. She looked at me with a cold sneer. I'm getting revenge for you, and you're turning around and blaming me. Did you really have to go that far? Now, you think it's too far. Shi Hanmo's eyes were icy. Fang Yuan, we're actually exactly the same. We're both sinners. We're both going to hell. That sentence was my worst nightmare. For a very long time, I kept remembering it, forgetting it, then remembering it again, until I was bullied by Bo Ching, and became a victim myself. Compared to the resentment, what I felt more was a secret sense of relief. This time, I finally don't have to go to hell. Back in the private room, I didn't intimidate anyone the way Qin Baisheng hoped I would. Bo Ching, having Shu Hanmo there, ended up leaving the dinner early, walking out the front doors. I practically sprinted the whole way. But I was still intercepted by Xwildi Hanmo and her goons riding motorcycles. Amidst the roar of the engines, I was forced to stop. What do you want? I was on high alert. She took off her helmet and tilted her head toward a nearby alleyway. Let's go have a chat. I didn't move. Once, before I transferred, she dragged me into a pitch-black alley and had a bunch of people pin me down and feel me up. Luckily, I managed to run away that time. She smiled and raised her hand to touch my shoulder. I violently dodged. She paused, turned her head to put out her cigarette. Still so stubborn, huh? I stepped back, scoping out an escape route. She suddenly lunged forward, blocking my view. I let you run back then. Let's see you try to run now. I just felt incredibly sick to my stomach. She acted like she just heard the funniest joke in the world. What did you say? I'm telling you to back off. Do you have a fucking death wish? Saying that, she gave a look, and her goons stepped forward. Suddenly, a familiar figure rushed out. Bai Ningbing stepped in front of me. Try touching him, I dare you. Shi Hanmo was stunned for a few seconds. Who the fuck are you? You got a death wish? With that, she swung a heavy punch. I cried out in alarm, but Bai Ningbing just tilted her head and effortlessly dodged it. Then, using that momentum, she countered hard. A solid punch landed square on Shi Hanmo's face. She immediately started bleeding from her nose. While she was reeling in pain, Bai Ningbing executed a beautiful reversal and chokehold, pinning her dead to the ground. I stood to the side, completely dumbfounded. Bai Ningbing pressed a pair of scissors against her throat and screamed at the goons, "Get the fuck out of here, or I'll stab her to death." Shui Hanmo, notorious for her fists, had never suffered like this before. But right now, she was pinned beneath Bai Ningbing, completely unable to move an inch. Hurry up and leave. Go! The goons resentfully backed off. Finally, Bai Ningbing let her go. She started cursing. Fang Yuan, you little pretty boy, flirting around everywhere you go. Before she could finish, Bai Ningbing grabbed the back of her neck and slammed her face hard into the pavement. This time, it wasn't just her nose. Her forehead started bleeding too. I'm so sorry, sister. The blood is getting in my eyes. Please let go. I was actually getting a little worried. Bai Ningbing gave a cold snort and threw Shi Hanmo aside. This time she finally behaved, kneeling all alone, on the ground, wiping her eyes. Bai Ningbing glanced at me, then turned around and left. I quickly jogged after her. Why were you here? Coincidence. Obviously I didn't buy that. She probably started following me the moment Qin Baisheng, and I left school. I kept walking behind her. You're really good at fighting. I learned jujitsu when I was a kid. She answered absent-mindedly. Really? Can you teach me? No. So stingy. Just a little bit. You're so annoying. The walk home that night felt really long, but following behind her, watching the streetlights stretch our shadows, I felt a peace I'd never felt before. After that night, Bai Ningbing and I formed a silent understanding. Every day after school, no matter who left first, we'd always bump into each other on the way home. This unspoken companionship defined my relationship with Bai Ningbing. For a long time after that, she slowly opened up again, going back to being that shining girl who was always standing on the podium, even though I knew it was her mask. Oddly enough, I started having this illusion that she was born to be this way. She tutored me, remembered my birthday, took me out to play, and bought me weird little trinkets. My mom always said, I never thought you two would get along so well. I thought our relationship was genuinely good now. Maybe just like real siblings. If life had just peacefully continued like this, we might have been like any other brother and sister, stepping into our dream colleges together, graduating together, growing up together. But tragedy always strikes when you least expect it. On the first anniversary of her remarriage, my mom finally got her long-awaited driver's license. To surprise Uncle Bai, she planned a road trip for their anniversary and sneaked out alone to practice driving. It was a Friday afternoon. I was sitting in class, listening to a boring physics lecture, when my homeroom teacher suddenly walked in and called me out into the hall. A terrible feeling overwhelmed me. Fang Yuan, I have something to tell you. You need to stay calm. He looked at me with eyes full of pity and helplessness. Your mom was in a car accident. She's at the hospital. My brain just exploded with a buzzing sound. Only later did I realize my teacher was actually being merciful then. My mom had been dragged under a truck. The car was completely crushed. She died on the spot. At the time I thought she was still in the era. I thought she was going to be fine. So when I rushed to the hospital and was faced with a cold corpse, I nearly passed out. I had nothing to begin with. And now, even the mom I loved most was gone. I don't remember how I got through that period. I just remember the sun rising and setting, over and over. I couldn't sleep for nights on end. On the rare occasions I did, I dreamt entirely of my mom. She asked me if I was studying hard, if I was taking care of myself. I nodded frantically, begging her to come back. But when I woke up, there was nothing, except a freezing wet pillow. I stopped going out. I definitely didn't want to go to school. My biological father found me around this time. He wanted to take me to live in another city. Uncle Bai asked for my opinion. Without looking at Bai Ningbing, I nodded and said yes. Even though my bio dad had a new family, compared to a stepdad, living with him seemed more justifiable. The day I was supposed to leave, Bai Ningbing handed me a small box. I opened it. It was the amulet my mom gave me. But I lost it during the camping trip. How could it be here? I looked at Bai Ningbing in confusion. I made a new one from memory. I don't know if it looks like yours. Staring at the amulet, I suddenly smiled. smiling through tears. I answered, "It's exactly the same. My dad handled my transfer paperwork. I went home to pack my bags. It was raining heavily that day. Not long after I got home, I realized the amulet Bai Ningbing gave me was gone too." Staring at my empty wrist, an overwhelming sense of fate choked me tightly. I bolted out of the house. But in rain that heavy, I had no idea where to even look. I kept walking down the long street. The rain slowly lightened up. A ray of sunlight broke through the clouds. I suddenly snapped out of it. I was never going to find it. Just like my dead mother was never coming back. I turned around to head back. But on the way home, soaked to the bone, I was dragged into a deep alley. I looked up and met Shi Hanmo's twisted face. I was thrown hard onto the ground by her goons. "Finally, caught you alone. Let's see you try to run today, Fang Yuan." Saying that, she reached out. Right. She violently tore my shirt open. The group surrounded me, taking photos. "Sis, isn't this going a little too far?" Only then did I notice. There was someone else standing behind her. It was Bo Ching. "Did you forget how he pinned you against the railing?" "I didn't forget, but this. I'm getting payback for you." "Shut the fuck up." Bo Ching immediately zipped his lips, with no one stopping her. Shi Hanmo became even more unhinged. I was pinned down by the group. Every time I struggled, I got a vicious slap across the face. Soon my entire face started to swell. "Sis, his nose is bleeding." Bo Ching cried out. "Shut up. He's not gonna die." Probably unable to watch any longer, Bo Ching jogged away. Staring at the gray sky, I suddenly spoke up. "Shi Hanmo, my mom died." She paused. "None of my fucking business." I lowered my eyes and stared dead at her. "She definitely won't let you off." The dead silence of the rainy day magnified all the terror. Shi Hanmo, curse, stood up and viciously kicked me in the groin. "Bad luck." I curled up in agonizing pain, watching her walk away. My tense nerves finally relaxed. I don't know how I got home. Blood crusted on my face, covered in bruises and mud. I wrapped my torn shirt tightly around me and limped all the way home. The moment the door closed, the sound of the rain finally faded. I don't know how much time passed, but the door opened again. Bai Nangbing stood at the entrance, staring at me blankly. She walked toward me, step by step. I saw a crazed look slowly rising in her eyes. Was it Shi Hanmo? Her voice was trembling. The next sentence was practically a roar. Was it her? Bai Ningbing looked at me, her eyes bloodshot. She slammed her backpack onto the floor, spun around, and rushed into the kitchen. She grabbed a knife, opened the front door, and marched out. I sprinted forward and hugged her from behind. I'm okay. I tried to calm her down. I heard the girl's soft, suppressed sobbing. Clack! The knife dropped to the floor. She turned around and hugged me tight. I buried my face in her chest, my nose filled with that familiar pleasant soap scent. My tears flowed uncontrollably. I'm sorry, she kept apologizing. I looked up, placed a finger over her lips, and shook my head. She stared at me blankly, like a lost child. I pulled my finger back, and gently, reverently kissed her beautiful lips. I think I'll always remember it. On that bleak, rainy day, I gave my innocent first kiss to a crying girl who kept telling me she was sorry, no matter how this story started. At the end of the chapter, I chose forgiveness. How we met wasn't beautiful. We even used to hate each other. But, after stumbling all the way to this point, I had to admit a secret buried deep in my heart. I think I fell in love with her. But real life isn't like a storybook, where you can just be with the person you like once you realize your feelings. After I packed my bags, my biological father came to pick me up. I left the city, left behind everyone and everything I loved and hated. At first, I tried to contact Bai Ningbing, but my texts and emails all went unanswered. Later, by some twist of fate, I managed to reach Qin Baisheng. He told me Bai Ningbing had transferred schools. Nobody knew where she went. I can't reach her either, he said. If even her craziest admirer didn't know, she must have intentionally cut contact with everyone. Gradually, I gave up too. Only occasionally, in the dead of night, would I think of the girl who recklessly protected me. I wondered if she remembered how I was when we parted, and if she did, why she never contacted me all these years. Life at my biological father's house wasn't great. My stepmom had a kid, and I was treated like an outsider for years. Right after the college entrance exams, I left for a university in another city. After graduating, I stayed away to build my career. Family just wasn't that important to me anymore. It was 8 years before I returned to this city. Qin Baisheng was getting married, and insisted I be his groomsman. Funny enough, we had kept in touch all these years. Two guys who used to have nothing to do with each other, somehow, inexplicably became friends. I agreed. After the plane landed, a strong wave of nostalgia washed over me. I went straight to the hotel Qin Baisheng had booked. He was marrying a wealthy woman, so every guest was very well accommodated. That night, he hosted a welcome dinner for a few of us high school friends. Surprisingly, Bo Qing actually showed up. Qin Baisheng whispered an explanation. Couldn't help it. We're co-workers now. Would have been awkward not to invite him. What a bizarre, messed up coincidence. After all these years, when Bo Qing saw me, his first reaction was still fear. I nodded at him, hiding a mocking smirk. Anyone who didn't know better would think I was the bully. Adults are so good at pretending. Nobody brought up the ugly past. Later, after some drinks, someone randomly mentioned Bai Ningbing. Does anyone know where she went? Qin Baisheng asked. Everyone shook their heads. Only Bo Qing's expression changed slightly. Qin Baisheng then asked, Fang Yuan, didn't Shang Xinqi say you and Bai Nine were neighbors? By the way, why didn't Shang Xinqi come with you? He asked this because Shang Xinqi and I were currently dating. We bumped into each other 2 years ago, and she aggressively pursued me. Right age, right person. So I said yes. We dated for over a year. Once the dopamine faded, our relationship started having all sorts of issues. These problems completely blew up after her mother showed up. Her mom always had a problem with me, and Shang Xinqi, caught in the middle, always took her mom's side. As a daughter, she wasn't wrong. But, as a partner, she failed. Right before I came here, we got into a huge fight over this. She frowned at me. Fang Yuan, I only have one heart. But there are many people in this world I need to love. Can you stop being so unreasonable? My heart just went cold. I suddenly thought of many years ago, in that booze-smelling KTV room, wearing my light-colored dress shirt, watching her talk to me with a shy face. That girl who smelled like fresh grass was gone, replaced by an adult who calculated every single ounce of affection. In my days, I felt a familiar tightening around my wrist. Back then, there was someone else sitting next to me, smiling and saying, "Brother, you look really good today." She would save me first when we were in danger, protect me from the bad guys, and completely lose her mind when I got hurt. All these years, I thought I had forgotten, but only now did I realize it was impossible to forget. Shang Xinqi, I wanted to tell her, or maybe I was just telling myself, if you've ever been loved 100, you'd know. This kind of love is completely unacceptable. She paused, then retorted, "Who's ever loved you 100? I lowered my head and didn't answer. That person. I had no idea where she was now, or if she had fallen in love with someone else. I just knew that in my memory, she would always be that young girl, always genuine, always passionate. In the end, I looked at Shang Xinqi and broke up with her. So, to Qin Baisheng's question, I just smiled. She's been pretty busy. Ah, gotcha. The conversation moved on, and nobody brought it up again. The name Bai Nangbing seemed to be forgotten by everyone once more. Just like many years ago. Planning a wedding is complicated. Qin Baisheng was so busy, he couldn't even catch his breath. When his car got dented, he didn't even have time to fix it. He tossed the keys to me. Could you find a place and get this fixed for me? I had no choice but to do him the favor. I found a highly rated auto shop and drove the car over. After quickly explaining the issue, they started inspecting it. I was sitting bored out of my mind by the door, scrolling on my phone. A woman walked past me. I suddenly got this really strong feeling and instinctively looked up. You rarely see women in this line of work. She was wearing mechanic coveralls, a hat, and a mask. She was leaning over, checking my engine, and saying something to the coworker next to her. I jumped up and rushed over. The person looked up at me, even though only her eyes were showing. Even though so many years had passed, I recognized her instantly. Bai Ningbing? My voice was literally shaking. She paused, her eyes looking at me like I was a total stranger. She furrowed her brow slightly. Can I help you? I pulled off my mask. It's me, Fang Yuan. She just went back to inspecting the engine. Oh, I tried to stop my body from trembling. I didn't understand why she was pretending not to know me. And she used to be ranked first in our grade. Even after transferring, she could have easily gotten into a top university. Why was she working as a mechanic here? Why are you here? I asked quietly. She answered quickly. Why can't I be? I choked on my words. Can we talk? I wanted to know what happened to her all these years. Where did she go? Why did no one know? Why didn't she contact me? I'm working. She completely shut me down. Cold as ice, holding back the sting in my eyes. I quietly backed away to the door. Okay, I'll wait for you to get off. Around evening, Bai Nangbing finally got off work, probably thinking I had already left. She walked out the door and stood under a tree to light a cigarette. In the flicker of the lighter, she looked up and saw me. She froze for a second. I walked over, pulled a cigarette from her pack, and leaned in. Got a light. She didn't move, frowning at me. Smoking's bad for you. I smiled, cigarette in my mouth, and leaned forward to light it off the cherry of hers. The slightly flirtatious move was smooth and natural. Her frown deepened. I exhaled a puff of smoke and asked casually, "Where have you been all these years?" She crushed out her cigarette. Her slightly raised chin was full of pride, and her lips curled into that familiar half-smile. For a second, I felt like I was looking at the old Bai Nangbing. She turned sideways and brushed past me, leaving me with an ice-cold, no comment. For the next few days, I showed up at the auto shop every single day. I wanted to know what exactly happened to Bai Ningbing all these years. But, other than saying, "Your car is fixed," she didn't say another word to me. That day, I waited at the door until evening again. Bai Nangbing changed into her own clothes, pulled her hoodie up, and walked straight out without even looking at me. I quickly followed behind her. In a daze, it felt like time had rewound, and our roles were reversed. Back then, she was always following me, and I tried desperately to shake her off. But now, I was the one following her, and I quickly lost her. Standing on the busy street, I suddenly thought of something. I rushed like a madman to that familiar place, the house where my mom and I lived for a year. When I got there, Bai Ningbing had just opened the door. Since we reunited, she finally showed an expression other than coldness. I pushed my way into the house before her. She didn't move, just stared at me. After a long time, she smirked. Believe it or not, I'll call the cops right now. I took a step back. This is my house too. She slammed the door shut and pinned me against the wall behind me, her eyes a little red, panting slightly. After 8 years, I finally got a clear look at her again. She had grown taller. Her beautiful face had matured a lot. That nice soap scent was gone, replaced by a faint smell of cigarette. Her burning body heat reminded me that we were both adults now. Can I kiss you? She froze completely. Before she could even react, I kissed her hard. On that rainy day years ago, I kissed her for the first time right here. Back then, she was stiff and didn't move. But this time, she kissed me back, deep and passionate. The air grew thin. Amidst our intimate touches, I supported her lower back and led her to the couch. She sat on my lap. I tilted my head up to kiss her, threading my fingers through her hair, and touched that scar. Like hitting a switch, we slowly stopped what we were doing, foreheads resting against each other. Bai Ningbing, where exactly have you been all these years? Bai Ningbing still didn't tell me. That night, she took me back to the hotel and dropped a "don't come looking for me again." Obviously, I didn't listen. After that, I went to find her even more often, and successfully became buddies with her coworkers. They didn't know our history, and thought it was love at first sight, eagerly offering me advice. Later, I asked about her background. She's been here for almost a year, I think. A friend of the boss recommended her. Super smart, picks up everything instantly. Sometimes, even our veteran mechanics go to her for advice. I acted surprised on the outside, but I wasn't shocked at all. She dominated the rankings in high school. How could the top student not be smart? But they also didn't know what she was doing before coming here. She never brought it up. During this time, I showed up in front of her every day. Even though she looked totally indifferent, I could tell she was doing it on purpose. Whenever I looked away, she would secretly glance at me. Whenever I was chatting it up with her coworkers, she would subtly send them away by assigning them a ton of work. Honestly, after all these years, it was like she hadn't changed a bit. Her actions were totally predictable, except for the fact that she completely refused to talk about her past. Today, Qin Baisheng dragged us groomsmen out to try on suits, so I didn't go see her. While we were trying things on, Qin Baisheng suddenly pointed to a groom's suit. You definitely look good in this. Wanna try it on? No thanks, just try it. Don't you want to see what you look like in a suit? I stared at the suit, not saying a word. The sales clerk chimed in. You can try it on, if you like. And just like that, I was pushed into the dressing room. The suit fit surprisingly well. After changing, Qin Baisheng dragged me over to get my hair styled. While the stylist was blow-drying my hair, my phone suddenly rang. It was an unknown number. I answered, confused. Hello, Fang Yuan. It was actually Bo Qing's voice. What's up? The other end went silent. I frowned. If it's nothing, I'm hanging up. Actually, back then by Ningbing. I held my breath. Bo Qing continued. She went looking for my cousin, completely lost her mind, and went for the kill. She stabbed her several times. Bai Ningbing was sentenced to a few years in prison. It was a huge scandal, so nobody leaked a word about it. Not even my cousin. Hearing this, my mind went completely blank. I didn't even hear Qin Baisheng calling me. Who were you on the phone with though? You totally zoned out. He looked at me curiously. Your screen says the call ended. Seeing I didn't react, he pulled me up. Hurry up and come out. There's a surprise. He pulled me into the bridal shop's floral photo studio. A crowd was standing around, smiling at me. The next second, the doors opened. Shang Jinqi, in a wedding dress, and holding a bouquet, slowly walked toward me. She stopped in front of me. Fang Yuan, I was in the wrong before. From now on, I will love you with all my heart. If you don't have the time to marry me, I'll come marry you myself. Amidst everyone's cheering, I finally snapped back to reality. A girl taking the initiative to love me. What a perfect proposal. But my mind was entirely consumed by someone else. Memories kept flashing back. 1 second it was 8 years ago. The next it was 8 years later. Finally, it froze on that rainy night in the hospital room. The young girl holding my hand whispering, "Don't go." To everyone's shock, I ran away. Shang Jinchi could never love me with all her heart. 8 years ago, she stayed silent while others bullied me. 8 years later, she took her mother's side in everything. Dressed as a groom, I sprinted through the crowd. I jumped into a taxi. The driver looked confused. "Young man, are you a runaway groom?" I smiled, eyes crinkling. "I'm not running away from a wedding. I'm going to find the person I love." When Bai Ningbing saw me, she had just lit a cigarette. She looked at me, her eyes going blank for a second. She just let the cigarette burn between her fingers for a long time. "Looks nice." It sounded like it took all her strength to say that. Then she asked, "Getting married?" "Yeah," not forgetting to gently hand back the underclassman's love letter. "Ignore this audio glitch. Go back." She smiled, jokingly trying to act casual. "You didn't have to come all this way just to show me." I was worried. She suddenly stopped right there and looked down to take another drag of her cigarette. I slowly stepped closer. Worried about what? She looked up and met my gaze. Her eyes like a shattered starry sky. She lowered her voice, that I'd crashed the wedding. But I laughed, laughing until I cried. "Bai Ningbing, I want to get married." I looked down at her, my voice trembling slightly. "Will you marry me?" She looked like she didn't understand, her eyes widening slightly. The next second she hugged me fiercely. "It's me." She choked out. "I know everything now." "It's okay, you still have me." I hugged her back. "You're so stupid. Doing something so reckless for a piece of trash, like her." She held me tighter. "For you, anything is worth it." I slowly got down on one knee, looking up at her. "Bai Ningbing, will you marry me?" Neither Bai Ningbing nor I are perfect people. In our dark and damp youth, our destinies became intertwined. Separated for years, two imperfect people broke through society's prejudices, and finally came together. The day Bai Ningbing and I got engaged, we went back to my hometown to visit my mom. She rests peacefully in Nanshan. The sky was crystal clear that day, like a painting. Bai Ningbing made me another identical amulet. Holding her hand, I stood in front of my mom and smiled. "Mom, I promise I won't lose it this time. Don't worry, I'm going to be happy." On the tombstone, my mom's black and white photo smiled gently, as if responding to us, giving us her blessing. Epilogue. 1 month later, in front of all our friends and family, Bai Ningbing and I got married. Bai Ningbing and I, two people who once stumbled through the mud of our youth, finally found peace in each other's arms. Every single day, I cherish the time I spend with her, because we once lost each other. Every moment now feels incredibly precious. In our first year of marriage, we welcomed a new little life into our world. When I first held that soft little body and looked into those clear eyes, my heart was filled with a love I had never felt before. I named our baby Fang Yibing. Every morning, I wake up to Bai Ningbing's kisses. She always wakes up before me to make breakfast, and then gently wakes me up. She puts me first in everything. Whenever she makes a decision, she always considers things from my perspective. With her, I truly feel 100% love. I'm incredibly content with my life right now. Sometimes, after the baby falls asleep, we sit on the balcony together, looking up at the stars. sharing our dreams and plans for the future. Bai Ningbing always gives me the best advice. Her wisdom and resilience are my greatest support. I know deep down that this marriage isn't just a union of two people, it's the mutual healing of two souls that were once broken. I cherish every single moment with Bai Ningbing, because I know, no matter how bumpy the road ahead gets, as long as we're holding hands, there's nothing we can't overcome. Our love has survived the test of time. Now, we just want to spend the rest of our lives proving that our love for each other is eternal. I will spend the rest of my life loving Bai Ningbing properly. I will never, ever lose this woman who loves me more than life itself.